Welcome everyone. So far in this module, we have learned the mixed operations, assignment operator, as well as the shorthand assignment operators. Now let's talk about the unary operators. The unary operators, they are the special type of operators because those operators can be used only with one operand. And we have 5 unary operators. They are unary plus operator, which is used to indicate that the number is a positive number. And then we have the unary minus operator, which is the opposite of unary plus. It indicates that the given number, given value is negative, like the numbers that are less than 0. And then we have the increment and decrement operators, which are used for increasing or decreasing the value by 1. And then lastly, we have the logical complement operator, or also known as the logical NOT operator, which is used for returning the opposite Boolean expression. Okay, if you have Boolean value true, it will return you false. If you have Boolean value false, when you apply this operator, it will return you true. So this unary plus and unary minus operator, you can use them with the numbers. Okay, when you add this unary plus operator, it indicates that the number is greater than 0, which is a positive number. But of course, this operator is not required in order to indicate that the number is positive, because even if you don't give the unary plus operator, by default, the number will become positive, unless you use this unary minus operator to indicate that the number is negative. Let's do some practices with unary plus and unary minus operators in our IntelliJ. Please create a new class under this module 12 package and name your class unary plus minus. Okay. And let me create my main method. Suppose that here I have this variable a, integer variable a, and I initialize 5 to it at the beginning. Okay, so if I print this a right now, it is going to give me 5, right? By default, it's a positive number. And I could have also add this positive, this unary plus operator before this number to indicate that this number is a positive. But when I run the program, it will still print me 5. It will not print me this unary plus operator on the console. Okay. And if I declare another variable, and if I assign the positive a means still going to be 5, right? Because a was never negative or anything. So now if I print this variable b, I will still be getting 5 as the positive number. So this operator is totally optional. You can give or you don't need to give, because every single number, as soon as you enter it, by default is taken as positive, unless you specified it otherwise. And the opposite of positive is negative. For example, here, if I have this variable x, which was set to 10. Okay. And now, what if I have this expression here? If the variable y is equal to negative x plus 5. So x value was 10. With this negative operator here, we will have negative 10. Negative 10 plus 5, it is going to return you negative 5. So if I run the program, I will end up getting negative 5. Okay, negative means that the number is less than 0. And the increment and decrement operators, they are used for increasing or decreasing the values. But when it comes to increment and decrement operators, there are 2 types of increment and 2 types of decrements. First one is pre. We have pre-increment and pre-decrement. And then we have post-increment and post-decrement. The pre-increment and pre-decrement means increase or decrease the value immediately, then return the value afterwards. Okay. Every time when you place this increment and decrement operator before the operand, that it indicates that it is pre-increment or decrement. It will immediately decrease the value of that operand by 1. And if you place those operators after the operand, then it means it is post-increment or post-decrement. And when you're using post-decrement or post-increment operators, they are different than pre. They will not immediately increase or decrease the value of the variable by 1. First of all, they are going to pass the current value, and then they will either increase or decrease the value depending on the operator that you placed. Okay, so post means first it is going to postpone the increment or decrement operators. It is going to give the current value first, and then it's going to increase or decrease the value by 1 afterwards. Where the pre, it is going to immediately increase or decrease the value of that operand. Okay. And yes, the increment and decrement operator, you can only use it with the integral data types such as int, short, byte, long, and char. It can also have integer numbers. So you can only use them with those data types. Let's also do a couple practice with the increment and decrement operators. Please create a new class under this package tool. Name it increment, decrement. Okay. Let me create my main method. So here, suppose that I have the variable x, which is equal to 5. And I need another variable y. And for this variable y, I want to assign the pre-increment of x. So if I need to assign the pre-increment of x, then the increment operator needs to be placed before this operand x. Okay. So now what happens is this operator will immediately increase the value of this variable by 1. So which means x becomes 6 at this step. Okay. So 6 value is passed here. 6 is stored into the y at the end. So which means now if I print this y, the variable y, it is going to give me 6. And after this step, since we also increased the value of this x, when I print the x, it will also gives me 6. Okay. See, x value is 6, y's value is also 6 now. So this is pre-increment. And pre-decrement, it is also going to change the value of the operand by 1 immediately. For example, here, if I have the variable a, which is equal to 10, and I am initializing the pre-decrement of a to the variable b. Decrement means decrease it by 1, right? And if I place this decrement operator before the operand, that means it is pre-decrement. And now, if it is pre-decrement, that means here a's value is decreased by 1 immediately, which means it becomes 9. If a's value is decreased by 1, it becomes 9, and then 9 will be stored into the variable b. So both a and b's value are 9 right now. So let me also print a and b. Okay. See, we got 9 for a, and we also got 9 for b. So these are pre-increment and decrements. They will change the value of the operand by 1 right away. If you use the increment, then it's going to increase it. If you use the decrement, then it's going to decrease it by 1. Okay. So those are pre-increment and decrement examples. Okay. And now let's do some more examples with the post increment and decrements. Okay. So suppose that this time I have this variable m, which is set to 5. And I need to use this variable m to initialize another variable n. This time I want to assign the post increment of m to the variable n. So how do I give the post increment? Increment needs to be given after the operand. So this is my operand, right? That I am assigning it to the variable n. I will give my operand here. I will give my increment operator after this operand, which becomes the post increment. So the post increment means it is going to give the current value first. It will pass the current value of this operand. So the current value of this operand right now is 5, which means 5 is assigned to the variable n. Okay. And are we done with this post increment operator? No, because there are 2 steps in the post increment or decrement operators. First, it is going to pass the current value. After passing the current value, then it will change the value of the operand by 1. If you use the increment operator, it will increase it by 1. If you use the decrement operator, it will decrease it by 1. So which means now after assigning the current value of m to the variable n, m will be decreased by 1. If it is decreased by 1, it will become 4. Okay. So right now, if I print this variable n, I will get 5 for the n. And if I print the variable m, I should be getting 4 for the value of the variable m. Oh, it is, since we are using the increment operator, it increases it by 1. So if the value of this variable is increased by 1 from 5, it becomes 6. So that's why we ended up getting 6 right here. Okay. Remember, the increment, it will increase it by 1, but the decrement, it will decrease it by 1. If this operator here was the decrement operator, then m's value would be 4. Okay. So this is the post increment operator. And now let's take a look at the post decrement operator. Here, suppose that this is our variable r, which is equal to 10. And then I use this variable r to initialize the variable t. This time I am going to pass the post decrement of r and assign it to the variable t. So this is the decrement of r, post decrement. So therefore, now what happens is it is going to pass the current value of this r, right? Current value of r is 10. 10 is assigned to the variable t now. So t's value is 10. And after passing the current value, this post decrement operator, it is going to decrease the value of r by 1. So therefore, r, if it's decreased by 1, it becomes 9. Which means after this step, if I print this r and the t, I should be getting 10 for the t, and I should be getting 9 for the r. See, our r value is 9 and t value is 10. So that's the only difference between post and pre-increment and decrements. Pre-increment and decrements, they are going to change the value of the operand by 1 immediately, right away. But the post-increment and decrements, first they will pass the current value of the operand, and then the value of the operand will be increased or decreased by 1. And then next, we have the logical complement operator. The logical complement operator, it is used for returning the opposite Boolean expression, it inverts the true value of the Boolean expression. If you have a Boolean expression of true, when you apply this logical complement operator, it will return you false. And if your Boolean value was false, when I apply this operator to that Boolean to Boolean operand, then I will get true. Okay. For example, let's also create a new class under this package module 12. Name it logical complement operator. And please create the main method. So suppose that here I have this Boolean variable is eligible. Okay. First it was set to true. Now, when I print this Boolean variable, you see, is eligible. I printed, right? It printed me true. But when I printed, what if I give the what if I apply this logical complement operator here at this step? Let's find out. This time, as you can see, it concatenated false to this string of text. That's why we ended up getting false on console. So logic opposite of is eligible right now is not eligible, right? So therefore it printed us false. And if I have Boolean variables like this, past, for example, suppose that past was true. Okay. And if I apply this logical not operator, it is also going to give me false. Okay. And if I have a false Boolean expression, let's say this Boolean was false, set to false. And when I print this Boolean variable, I use this logical complement operator. So if the Boolean was true, this one, it returns the opposite, which gives you false. If the Boolean was false, then its opposite will give you true. So here we ended up getting true. So this logical complement operator, we use it a lot when it comes to the conditional statements. If you want to create the opposite condition, you could just use this logical complement operator to create the opposite condition. And here are the operator precedence of all the operators that we have covered so far from the operators part 1 and part 2. At the number 1 spot, we still have the parentheses. And the second highest, at the second level, we have unary post increment and decrements. And then at the third level, we have unary pre-increment and pre-decrements, unary plus, unary minus, unary logical negative, and unary logical complement, and those are the operators for the third level. And of course, if you have the typecastings, this is the casting operator. They are at the third level. Also, the associativity of those operators are also different at the third level. As you can see, they are from right to left, right? And then at the first level, we have the multiplication, division, module, those arithmetic operators. And then the next one, at the next level, we have addition and subtractions, okay? And the one that has the lowest level of precedence are the assignment and shorthand assignment operators. Now let's do one more practice with the unary operators of the pre-increment and post-increments. Okay, because knowing the difference between those two are important. Here is the given code fragment. We need to analyze what will be the output of each of those print statements. Okay, please create a new class for this last task and name it pre-post increments. Please name the class pre-post increments. Okay. And let me get you the code fragment. Let me give you the code fragment. We'll analyze it one by one. Here we have this variable x is given, which is set to 10. And we also have the variable y that is given, and it has the value of 22. And the first print statement that you have, it has the post increment of x, because the increment operator is given after the operand, plus y. Okay, so let's analyze it. If this is the post increment of x, that means it is going to pass the current value first, right? Before it's increasing the value of the variable x, it will pass the current value. Current value is 10. And then we have 10 plus the y's value is, oh, here in the task it was also x. We need to add the x. And after passing the current value, will the value of x still going to be 10? No. First, it passed the current value, and then it will increase it by 1 right away. So if the x value is increased by 1 afterwards, it becomes 11, right? So x value at the step, it becomes 11. So here you will get 21, and the new value of x at the end will be 11. Okay? So if I run this program, you see, I should be getting 21. And the next print statement, we have the post increment of x plus the pre-increment of y. After this first print statement, our x value was 11 because of this increment operator. It was increased by 1. Okay. And if I'm using this post increment here, it means it is going to pass the current value of x. So at this step, the current value of x is 11. And then we have this plus operator. Next, we have the pre-increment of y. So pre-increment of y means it is going to increase the y's value by 1 right away, which will give us 23. Okay. And now, remember, after this step, x value is increased by 1 still, right? So x value was 11 at the beginning, but if it is increased by 1, then x value will become 12. How about the y's value here? If it is increased by 1, it becomes 23. So 11, as for this expression, 11 plus 23, it should give me 34. Okay, so here the output is 34. But of course, those operators are still going to change the value of the x and y. Okay, and then the next print statement that we have, it is it contains the pre-increment of x, and then the module operator, and 5. So the current value of x right now is 12 after this statement, right? So when I use this pre-increment operator, it is going to increase the x value by 1 immediately, which means x will become 13. Okay? And then we have this module operator to 5. The remainder of 13 divided by 5 will give you 3. Okay? But remember this, after this step, x value is 13. So if I run this program, now you see I have 3 as my output of this print statement. And let's also display the value of x and the y. Let's see if this is what we actually got for the x and y's value. Here is x and here is y. So for the x, we ended up getting 13 as we expected, right? And for the y's value, the last time y has changed was at this line, at line 30. It was giving us 23. So this is y's value, 23. Thank you so much, everyone. See you all in the next video.